How's it going, YouTube lovers? This is the Eagle Boulder Animator. Welcome to a brand new video. Today, this is the very first episode of my Bird Brain Theories series, and I hope to do more of these in the future. It's a new concept. I want to see what you guys think of this. Now, I figured the perfect topic to cover is Infinity War. I am absolutely hyped and worried about this movie. Hyped because it's culmination of 10 years of Marvel movies. Worried because I don't know who's going to make it out of it alive. But I already have my tickets ready to go for opening day. But watching all the trailers and reading all of the other theories that have come up about it makes me wonder, in what order will Thanos actually get the Infinity Stones? Which one will we get first? Which will we get second? Etc. So I thought that I would take a look at the trailers and all the evidence that we have with us and try to break down exactly what order Thanos will get these stones. Because we've only ever seen him with two in any of the clips and promotional art that we've seen, except for a couple. And that is what I'm going to talk about today. So before we start, spoiler warning, I have seen every Marvel movie that is out right now except for Incredible Hulk, and I don't think that has anything to do with the Infinity Stones at this point. But if you have not seen any of the recent Marvel movies, especially such as Ragnarok or Black Panther, please turn away now or proceed at your own risk. It is up to you. But now it's time to begin and talk about the first stone I think Thanos gets, and that is the Power Stone. This stone was first introduced in Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was the stone that Thanos sent Ronan to get because in exchange he told Ronan that he would destroy Xandar for him. But of course we have our seriously the best hero group ever. They're more put together than the Avengers, quite honestly. The Guardians save Xandar and defeat Ronan, and the stone is currently, last time we saw it, locked in a vault with armed guards at Nova Corps, which is still on Xandar. Now this stone is likely the easiest one for Thanos to get, so it makes sense that he would get it first. And this one is especially easy to say is the first stone because we've seen evidence of this in the clips and the trailers. We can see at one point when he's taking off his helmet in trailer 2, there is only one stone on it, and that is the Power Stone. And this will apparently continue a long history that Nova Corps has in the comic books of not being able to fend for themselves at all. And this leaves into question, what will Xandar's fate be? The whole point that the Guardians were trying to stop Ronan was that if he touched the stone to the planet, the entire thing would be gone in an instant. All life on it would be gone. And if Thanos is getting the stone, what is to stop him from taking the Gauntlet, tapping it on the surface, and wiping out everything? There's billions of people on that planet. The directors have said that Thanos will prove in the first 5 minutes of the movie why he is the biggest bad guy in the entire MCU. And I'm wondering if it means that he's going to wipe out that entire planet. That would be absolutely horrible, but unfortunately all the evidence means it would make sense. So anyway, that was the easiest stone, and the second one is also fairly easy, so let's go ahead and talk about that stone, and that's the Space Stone. This stone was first introduced in Captain America, the First Avenger. This was the very first Infinity Stone ever introduced into the MCU, but it was also the main focus in the first Avengers movie, because Red Skull was trying to use it to create weapons to wipe out the world, and Loki was trying to get it because that is what Thanos told him to get, and in exchange, he would send the Chitauri to win Earth for him. But, of course, as we know, the Avengers defeated Loki, closed the portal, and they locked the Tesseract in Asgard's vault when Thor took Loki back to Asgard. And then this stone kind of dropped off the radar for 11 movies. Seriously, 11 movies, we do not see anything from this stone. And then it comes back up in Thor Ragnarok. We see that it is still in the vault, but it is implied in that movie that Loki takes it with him before they destroy Asgard. And the trailers for Infinity War actually prove this. We can see Loki giving the stone to Thanos in what looks like the wreckage of the ship that the Asgardians escaped on. Because in the post-credits scene for Thor Ragnarok, we can see Thanos' ship arrive and just loom over the Asgardian ship. This thing is massive, and this other ship is already supposed to have an entire planet's population on it. This is ridiculous. And we can actually see Thanos putting the stone on the Gauntlet. This is the only time that we've seen this in the trailers. He actually crushes the Tesseract, and then he puts the stone in the gauntlet. We can actually see the first stone in there I talked about already, the Power Stone as well, so that confirms that that one is first. But this also puts the Asgardians' fates into question, because recently there was a clip released during the Kids' Choice Awards that showed the Guardians meeting Thor, and you could see other bodies floating in space. It's not just Thor's. Makes me wonder, is this everyone who is on the Asgardian ship, or is this just some people? Because I really hope that Loki and Valkyrie and Korg survive. I really wish Heimdall would survive as well, but there's been hints in the toys. We see Thor holding a sword that maybe he won't survive, which is a big bummer, but I really hope that not all of the Asgardians die. They just went through so much in Thor Ragnarok, and just to kill them off now would be horrible. But anyway, that ends the known order of Infinity Stones. These first two, we can tell easily by the trailers which one's first and which one's second. This is where the speculation begins, and I will be sure to tell you what my evidence is as I talk about it. So let's go ahead and talk about the third stone I think Thanos will get, and that is the Reality Stone. This stone was first introduced in Thor: The Dark World as the Aether. The Ether. The Ether. Let's just call it the Reality Stone. But it was first introduced in Thor: The Dark World as Malekith's tool for trying to destroy the 9 realms at Greenwich. But of course Thor defeats him because he's Thor. But in the post-credit scene, we can see 2 of the Asgardians take the stone to the Collector. It's the first time we ever see the Collector. And this is actually the first time that the term Infinity Stone is actually used in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So for all those of you who weren't absolute comic book nerds guessing this from the start, like myself, this was the introduction to the Infinity Stones. They brought it to him saying that
the Tesseract is already on Asgard. It is not wise to keep 2 Infinity Stones so close together.
And the Collector gladly takes it, because after they leave, he says to himself,
1 down, 5 to go.
And this is the last time that we've actually seen this stone. The next time we see the Collector is in Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's unknown what happens to the stone at this point. We never see it, but we do know that the Collector's place explodes when his assistant tries to grab the Power Stone. So we don't know exactly what happens, but there is a leaked scene from Infinity War, which I will not show you actual clip of for copyright reasons, but here are some screenshots. Well, here's a screenshot from it that shows the Collector being interrogated by Thanos. Oh, wait, hold on. The CGI is not done on Thanos yet, so there. Being interrogated by Thanos. And when he's being interrogated, he tells Thanos,
I told you. I sold it.
But of course Thanos doesn't believe him, and I don't believe him either. Sure, there's a chance that he won't get the Power Stone at this point because Nova Corps has it, but that doesn't necessarily mean the Collector is just going to give up and sell one of the most powerful objects in the entire universe. It doesn't make sense to me that he would get rid of it. And then also what makes this interesting here is that why it makes me think that this takes place next after the Space Stone is collected by Thanos, is because we also can see the Guardians here, and Drax's reaction to Thanos makes it seem like that this is the first time he's ever come face to face with the Mad Titan.
Today, he pays for the deaths of my wife and daughter.
And we know from the trailers that Drax is actually there on the planet Titan itself with the other Guardians, Iron Man, Doctor Strange, and Spider-Man when they fight Thanos. So it wouldn't make any sense for that scene to come before this one. And we already could see the Collector being interrogated by Thanos. Now, we also can see in the trailers that when Captain America faces Thanos in a 1v1, there's still only those 2 stones that we've ever seen on him in the promotional stuff. And I believe that this is a case of Thor's eye patch. Now, Thor's eye patch basically means something that is CGI'd out so that the reveal isn't spoiled in the trailers. This is named after the moment from the Thor Ragnarok trailer where we see Thor with lightning crackling all around him in his full power, very clearly having 2 eyes. But in the movie, he has lost one of his eyes at this point. So it seems to me that from here on out, it's not that he hasn't collected the stones until he gets to Wakanda, because that Wakanda is basically supposed to be the climactic 3rd act of this movie. So I believe it's a case of Thor's eye patch for all these other stones, and the main reason I think that this stone is next has to do with the placement of the stones. They have been very consistent that the red stone, which is the reality stone, is placed right next to the space stone. And so far we've seen Thanos working his way from his index finger across to his pinky. So it wouldn't make sense for the next stone to suddenly be placed somewhere else. It hasn't been implied that there is a specific order for these stones. Heck, even in the comics, they're inconsistent for where they are. So it makes me wonder exactly what's going on, but I'm pretty sure it's Thor's eye patch, and the reality stone is the next one that he collects. Hello, EBA from the future here. This is just coming in because since I recorded that first voiceover, there was another TV spot released for Infinity War, which supports my theory even more. It is called the Chant TV spot, and if you just watch the normal version that they released on YouTube, you can't see anything specific about it. But if you watch the version that was released on Twitter, the aspect ratio is different, and when Thanos steps out of this portal that is using the Space Stone to create, you can see the other two stones are on there. And this is him arriving in Wakanda. So I believe that this totally almost confirms my theory that the placement of the stones is consistent, and that he gets these next two stones before he goes to Wakanda, and that it's just a case of Thor's eye patch. It seems extremely likely. I mean, come on. Thanos is already entirely CGI. It's not that hard. So anyway, gotta go back to the rest of the video. I just wanted to interrupt and say, here's more proof. So now we're gonna get into total idea territory here. Nothing is solid at this point, because the next stone I believe that Thanos gets is the Soul Stone. Now, the reason that this stone is going to be mostly based off of complete speculation, not much evidence for this, is that it hasn't actually been seen yet in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There was a theory that it was going to be introduced in Black Panther because that was the last movie before Infinity War, but it's never brought up in that movie. That kind of takes place in its own separate storyline arc. It doesn't even mention it as a whole the rest of the cinematic universe, only in references. So that theory is debunked for now. The theory that I really like is the theory that Heimdall has the stone, and that's how he's able to see people. And it's still possible, but if Heimdall does die early, like the toy of Thor has suggested, then that means he doesn't have the stone, because Thanos only has two at that point, and this one I'm pretty sure is the fourth stone that he gets. Again, referring to the Order of Stones. So I'm sure this one's next, and that's why this could be interesting theory, because there are two other ones out there, and that is that it is somewhere on the wreckage of Thanos' home planet Titan, which would be a very interesting twist that Thanos has been out there looking for these stones, and there's one back in his home planet this entire time. And that would be interesting. The color scheme of the planet is orange, but that doesn't necessarily mean the Soul Stone is there. Another theory that has come up is from promotional art that showed all 6 Infinity Stones with characters reflected in them, and the characters have been pretty consistent to whether it's the movie that the stone first appears in, or it's who holds the stone at the moment, such as Vision with the Mind Stone or Doctor Strange with the Time Stone. But the Soul Stone has Iron Man on it. Now, this could just be giving Iron Man the spotlight on one of the stones, because none of his movies actually introduced an Infinity Stone. But it is a very interesting detail to have, that Iron Man could somehow be connected to the Soul Stone. Now, I'm not 100% behind this theory. I think this is probably the weakest theory out there right now. But that art definitely could hint some greater connection. Not sure what it is yet. Now, the next two stones, because remember, at this point, I've been going along with the order of the stones being from index finger to pinky finger. The next two stones, one's on the back of his hand and one is on his thumb. If he was going from pinky to index, then I would say the thumb is next. So I'm not entirely sure which of these next two stones goes, so I'm just going to cover them in the order that they first appeared in the MCU, and keep in mind that this could be either number 5 or number 6 in Thanos' order. So let's go ahead and first talk about the Mind Stone. This stone was softly introduced in Avengers 1, but it took a more prominent role and actually was named as an Infinity Stone in Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, the Mind Stone was revealed to actually be what powered Loki's scepter, and we can see him using mind control to take control of Dr. Selvig and of Hawkeye and some other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. So it actually makes sense that this is the Mind Stone. But it also raises the question of why did Thanos give an Infinity Stone to Loki when his mission is to collect the Infinity Stones? It makes me wonder if he was just so confident that Earth would be demolished by the Chitauri and Loki would give him the stone, the Space Stone, that he'd just be able to go back and get the Mind Stone from Loki whenever he wanted. But then in Age of Ultron, the scepter is brought up again, and it's finally called out as an Infinity Stone, and it ends up being what brings Vision to life. Originally, Ultron was trying to create a vibranium body for himself with the Mind Stone in it, but the Avengers hijacked the vibranium shell, I guess you could call it, and Iron Man and I'm just going to call him Stark because he isn't in his Iron Man suit at the time. Stark and Banner actually work together to bring this artificial intelligence to life using Jarvis as a base. Now, that's great and all, but we actually see Vision being attacked in the very first Infinity War trailer. So it definitely makes it look like that Thanos is going all out, sending his minions everywhere to collect the stones. But then Vision is seen later, still with the stone in his head, in Wakanda. And it's implied that if Vision loses the Mind Stone, then he will die. So it makes sense that it's still in his head, but it means that somehow he's able to escape the attacks from, I believe it's Corius Glaive is the Black Order member going after him. And then Cap takes him to Wakanda for safekeeping. And if you actually, it's hard to see on the regular version of the trailer, but if you look at the IMAX version of Infinity War Trailer 2, you can see that Cap is defending Vision personally. And that, I believe, is around the same time when Cap goes up against Thanos mano a mano. Now let's talk about the final Infinity Stone, which, again, Thanos could collect this before the Mind Stone, but I have no idea at this point because my theory is based off of the images and how consistent they are with the placement. But let's go ahead and talk about the Time Stone. Now, this stone was first introduced in Doctor Strange as the Eye of Agamotto that he uses to loop time around Dormammu and convince him for a bargain to leave Earth alone. Then after that, he took it off and left it in Kamar-Taj, and Wong agrees that it isn't safe to keep an Infinity Stone around his neck until he can properly control it. Well, apparently between movies, he learns how to properly control it, because we can actually see the necklace once again around Strange's neck in Thor Ragnarok in the quick cameo that he has. And we also see it around his neck in the Infinity War trailer, because one of the main things that we've seen in the trailer is this massive ship from Thanos called the Q-ship, I believe it is, descending on New York. Now, I believe that it is after Strange and the Time Stone, and it has Ebony Maw, I believe, is the Black Order member going after him. Now, we actually see a scene in the trailer where Strange is being tortured by Ebony Maw, and I believe that Strange actually gets captured when the Q-ship comes, and the scene we see of Iron Man flying up to the ship in pursuit is actually him going up there to try to save Strange. And we actually see Strange in the battle on Titan, where I was talking about earlier, where we also see the other Guardians meeting up with the Avengers. But it also means that he likely escapes, but then what happens to Ebony Maw? I wonder if that he actually escapes through a portal to Titan where Thanos is, or at least where Thanos has set up kind of like a rendezvous area for his minions. Because in the brand new clip that we have seen in a TV spot, when we see Stark basically knighting Peter Parker as a proper Avenger, we can see a blue glow behind him, very similar to the one that we see around the portal that Thanos enters in the first trailer. So it seems that there is a Space Stone portal in place, and they go through it, and that's likely how they get to Titan. So it also brings up another question. If they're all there on the planet and we see some bad stuff happening to them on that planet in the trailers, do the Avengers get stranded on Titan until the 4th movie next year? That's what it makes me wonder, because the Avengers have shown that their strength comes from when they work together. And if we have a good number of them on Titan, we have others that are who knows where, and others that are probably going to be dead, unfortunately. That would make sense why Thanos is so strong, is because all the Avengers are scattered around the galaxy and around the planet. So it would make total sense if they get stranded there, but it also makes me wonder what happens to the Eye of Agamotto. What happens to the Time Stone? Does Strange, escape back to Earth to keep the stone safe while the other Avengers hold back Thanos as long as they can? Or does he lose the stone there and then Thanos abandons everyone else and goes after the Mind Stone? That is why I am not sure which of these last 2 stones go in which order. But it is definitely likely that Thanos will collect all of the stones in Infinity War, and then he's going to be massively powerful and almost unstoppable in the 4th movie, and that's when the Avengers really have to come together to stop him. So for a quick recap of my theory, first, Thanos gets the Power Stone from Xandar. We don't know what happens to the planet. Second, Thanos collects the Space Stone and leaves the wreckage of the Asgardian ship. We don't know how many of them survive. Third, Thanos goes to nowhere to interrogate the Collector and get the Reality Stone from him. Fourth, somehow Thanos gets the Soul Stone. Still not sure where that is, so I can't elaborate on that more. Fifth or sixth, Thanos will either get the Time Stone or the Mind Stone from Doctor Strange or Vision, respectively, and we'll just have to see what happens when Infinity War comes out on April 27th. I've got my tickets. I'm ready to go. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. I definitely did different kind of format for videos. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want me to do more theories in the future about other Marvel things or just other shows and movies in general, please drop a like down below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you all on the next one. Bye, guys!